And so there's a certain kind of tie that there's. Okay,
Cooking with fire. Are we ready to go?
yeah, you can start your meeting.
You'll notice item 7 on the list. Anyway,
I was like knowing number 8.
I like that one better. Okay, good afternoon. I'm Mark Story with Whitman County Public Works, chairperson for the Joint Planning Action Committee. Let's call this meeting to order at 2:04 p.m. on December 14th. Let's do a roll call. Start.
Sean Coates, City of Pullman Public Works Director.
Glenn Johnson, Pullman Mayor.
Alan Thompson, Whitman County Planner.
Art Swanik, Whitman County Commissioner.
Mike Urban, Pullman City Administrator.
R.J. Lott, Pullman Community Development Director.
And Chris Nelson, the county treasurer. I chatted with her this morning. She did not think she'd make it because of road issues and where she's at. So
Motion to excuse.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's passed. Comments from the public. I don't see any public.
Les D has something that she has on her mind. Okay.
You want to get dug out of your stove a little better? All right.
Okay, a motion to dispense with the reading of the special meeting minutes from December 1st, 2021 and approve them as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Perform annual review of the tax sharing area interlocal agreement. I didn't send it out again this year, but
Is the same.
it's the same. It has not changed. I took a quick look through it. I did not have anything that I saw that we needed to address right now. Does anyone from the committee want to talk about any of the items in the agreement?
So, St. John's Hardware is now functioning.
It is.
Okay. And that's in the tax sharing.
It's in the tax sharing agreement.
And that doesn't apply to the previous thing. It's a whole
It
new-
does
it's a
not.
whole
It
new
was
thing.
excluded because it's a different conditional use.
Right.
So it is now in the tax sharing area.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that's clear.
Yep.
And the marijuana shop seems to be doing quite well.
I would presume as much, but I've not looked at the numbers.
No, I haven't looked at the numbers either. I just see the cars. Okay.
Point of clarification for me, my conversations with Chris, it seemed there was some discrepancies about who might be reporting to the county and who might be reporting to the city. That has not been ironed out to date, so I think we should have a meeting with myself and Chris to try to iron it out and get back to square wherever we're supposed to be, because it's been, since I got here, we haven't had a distribution one way or the other. So I think we
Okay.
need to get that figured out. She says there's somebody that's reporting to us, but we can't identify who that is, so I need some more information.
You want me to facilitate that, get the parties talking?
Would you be so kind?
If you don't mind waiting until January.
I would be thrilled to wait till January, Mark. So,
That's
thank
a
you.
unanimous move.
Okay, fair enough. I will,
I was prepared to beg.
I'll work with Chris and see if we can get a meeting going sometime in January.
Thank you.
So just so I'm clear on that, if I could, so reporting what? So it's
How
clear.
much money we're,
How much
Revenues.
money is being generated and put into the
and
account?
shared in between.
And shared. And there was some concerns when I first got here that there was maybe not everything was being captured by the county, that somebody was reporting directly to the city, which would be incorrect. If you put in your address in the Department of Revenue system, it should code you properly to the county. But she thought maybe that wasn't happening. I'm prepared to go through the records if she can identify who, but I can't search by address.
She can. I did talk to her about that a little bit, but the previous treasurer had not set up the revenue or the accounts, and so Chris had to set that up when she took over as treasurer.
Okay.
And so I don't know what exists for records prior to Chris, but Chris seems like she's at least saying all the right things. She's read the agreement, and she told me that she is capturing that revenue.
Okay.
So if it's not getting to the city, then we need to fix that.
Thank you.
It's probably not a lot yet, but
And I think, to try to defend Chris a little bit too, who's not here, is when we had the meeting, I think Rayleigh was working on part of that as well, and with Rayleigh's move over to the assessor's office, I want to give some deference for that.
Okay. I'll make a note.
And Art made a note. That's 2 notes.
Art just makes notes all the time.
I know that, I've noticed that.
He's way more noteworthy than I am.
I don't know, somehow I always trust Public Works, though. Mark, I just want you to know that. I've had a really good experience with Public Works.
I could say so many things right now, and I'm going to just refrain.
That's why we get along so well.
I have a twisted sense of humor in this business.
You have to.
Okay, any other comments on the tax sharing area interlocal agreement? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion and updates. Development in the tax sharing area. Alan, any updates?
There are no new businesses. There's an expansion of business with Platt Electric, but it still remains Platt Electric.
Okay.
And it was in the tax sharing area to
It-
start
yeah.
with.
It is in the tax share area, yeah. It's the Motley property there, corner of Airport Road and 270. So that's the only difference that I'm aware of right now.
We lost, did we not lose some businesses? You know, we had those marijuana shops that seemed like they were up and down, like the old nursery and things like that.
It's still a viable business.
It
It
is?
has changed ownerships.
Oh,
It is now called Happy Times.
well, that will make all the difference in the world.
There you go. Following the trendy names here for marijuana shops. So it's still a viable business.
Okay.
It's just ownership change.
Good.
It has kind of gone back and forth there. There's been some issues with the ownerships, but it's still an operating business. And then Floyd's, of course.
Do it big time, yeah.
Floyd's is probably doing very well.
I don't see the Floyd buses much. They finally stopped the Floyd bus?
There was a lot of pushback on the Floyd's
Oh,
bus.
boy, that's Schweitzer, every time he saw that thing, he seemed like he wanted to call me, so.
Can't say I ever took a ride on that bus.
I did not ride that bus either.
The magic bus.
That's the happy bus, that's it.
Oh, gosh, here we go now.
We definitely heard some complaints on that bus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Next item, quarterly meetings of County Treasurer, City Finance Director. We already sort of talked about that. Do you want to add to that at all?
Sure, my new finance director started today.
Okay.
This
He's
is,
almost smiling today.
Almost?
You can almost see a smile. Between that and the grimace.
this is me working on hour 13 already of the day, and it's only 2 o'clock, so I'm hanging in there. No, so we will resume the quarterly meetings now that Jeff has joined us.
Okay.
And we even have an HR director. Not quite on board yet, but
My goodness.
got a couple.
She promised the 4th. I might be down to 1 job finally by the time Valentine's Day rolls around.
I feel for you. We've had our struggles over the
Oh,
last
yeah.
few years, but.
I see
it's
the
actually
ads in the
calming-
Colfax Gazette for,
It's calming down a little bit.
oh, good. Getting drivers?
Yeah, a few.
Okay.
Actually, we're getting drivers in most of the county. It's the northern part of the county that we just can't seem to attract them now. We were, this is a side note, sorry, but we've been advertising for mechanics for our heavy fleet shop for a year and a half straight, and we just got 3 applicants.
Nothing, 3.
Yeah, nothing, then 3, exactly.
Yeah.
And they were all qualified?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's,
Yeah.
don't ask
Do
me
we have any
why.
mechanic openings right now in case he hires 1 or 2?
You guys need a mechanic?
We're going to. Yeah, because
We get first pick.
we're trying to hire a supervisor right now.
Oh, yeah,
That might be even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on the quarterly meetings? Okay, moving on. SR 276, property transfer and right-of-way study. We've hit this one ad nauseum, but Sean, I don't know if you want to chat on this?
Sure, just a little bit. Pullman Public Works has been doing preliminary design work on the North Bypass. And the intent of that is basically to figure out exactly how much right-of-way we need from WashDOT, because they've got a big swath of right-of-way that they picked up, and that was really intended for a highway, whereas it'll be essentially for the city of Pullman to be an arterial street. So we don't have quite the need that WashDOT had gone after, and especially where you've got major interchanges planned from the WashDOT plans, and that was basically like at the intersection of Grand, where they had 400 feet of right-of-way in some cases, and we just don't need that much for our road, because we're not gonna have an interchange. So, and there are a couple of advantages to doing it this way, to say, okay, we only want to use this much right-of-way, because if we get more right-of-way than we need, it can only be used for transportation purposes. We can't use it for any other purpose, so it limits.
Does the adjoining property owner get some of that?
So that basically whatever we don't ask for,
That's what I thought.
WashDOT would offer it back to the adjoining property there, yeah.
We heard a lot about during the trail.
It was purchased with federal money is what makes it trickier.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's the challenge. And so.
They probably can't give it back then in that sense.
No, they can't.
The
They have
property
to sell it
owner's
back.
changed, obviously, probably in many cases.
Well,
Yeah.
Maybe the farmer.
similar family, or same
Yeah.
families are typically, but, and then they also, just to dovetail on, they purchase right-of-way access rights at different levels along them. And those actually have value in the federal system,
Well.
so that they have to deal with that when they transfer to us as well.
Yep.
That's probably one of the harder sticking points.
So do the private landowners, if they're gonna gain back some land, have to pay for that then?
Yeah.
Well, that's not probably gonna sit well with them.
Sure.
Well, it'll be offered back to them. They don't have to buy it.
Then what,
at
then
what-
what happened to it if they didn't buy it?
Yeah, and that's the hard part,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Somebody
At
else
the
buys
price they paid for it in, when, the 70s when they acquired it, or 60s or something like that?
17,
It would have to be appraised
It was in
value.
the seventies.
Appraised value.
75 or some such thing.
Wow.
And we're experiencing that right now with the downtown piece of property where the property owner didn't want to buy it at the time, and now that they're trying to do some development work on there, it's like, oh, I guess we need this.
Yeah.
So, pay me now or you can pay me later.
Yep.
Not me personally, no.
It's challenging.
And the city and county keep on functioning, they just change all these other things along the way. So,
And potentially, some of those little landowners may have an issue with having a road where there isn't one already. May stand up in opposition to it.
Well, we've had some conversation with Mater, because he's got quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
And Mater wants to develop around it.
Yeah.
And so he's a willing participant.
Yeah, it's actually a win-win for Mater, because
Yeah.
it basically, we build the major arterial street within the north bypass right away. He doesn't have to use his land for,
Yeah.
But he'd have
Major
to
streets.
buy the ground adjacent to, if it made her, he'd have to buy it to control it.
any leftover pieces. A lot of what is next to his land is stuff we would probably go after the full right-of-way with.
Plus, he's got a park plan from some of that area out there too, and he's got all kinds of things that he was, I've seen some of his development plans. Really, looks pretty nice.
Yeah, he could potentially develop that land if he has to buy it back.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it'd be pretty, primo land right next to a pretty decent road.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's-
pleasant. That's a nice ringtone. I didn't expect that coming from a county.
I think I just answered it. I can't answer it right now. I'm not sure.
We'll put him on speaker, we'll talk to him.
Yeah.
No, it's the doctor's office. Let's not talk to them.
Oh, even better.
He just deleted it.
For some reason, it's.
He's kind of laying here twitching. What do you want us to do?
Hey, Mark needs
Called
some
from my
Vicodin.
dentist this morning. How was your
It's about
experience?
this.
Oh,
There you go. He is.
well, I can share similar things, because I wore that for quite a while. Sheesh.
Well, unfortunately, it's the office coordinator that it takes forever to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
Well, we could do a pause in the meeting, you
Yeah.
go deal with it, and come back.
Yeah, no, Mark. Okay.
But you said something about there's access restrictions were
So,
sold or
one of
covered?
the things to keep in mind is they purchased limited access along the right-of-way, and that would have to be dealt with in us taking that right-of-way on either the city or the county. And then the other thing to sort of keep in mind is, as we balance that with the business needs, you want it to be a transportation corridor, not just a local access road. That's going to be the real challenge.
Right.
Is how often do you allow an access onto this road from a business? You don't want them too closely spaced, or it just becomes Bishop Boulevard all over again. So trying to figure out part of what that means. We don't know yet, but
So those limited access deals, like 195, for instance, was the, heading south to Lewiston. They bought those access agreements back in the 70s. So they paid the landowner and said, you can't develop any more here. And we ran across that one when some of them wanted to subdivide their land. They wanted to take the house out of the farmland. And then we ran smack dab right into DOT. Said, no, you can't do that. We bought the rights, so you can't do that.
Right.
So you have to deal with that.
Well, that's it's partly what we're working with, and Sean's been working with parametrics, used to be Taylor Engineering, who started it with Ron Pace, who's very familiar with the project, and they're doing, I think, a fairly nice job of characterizing what we're looking for both city and county needs.
Good.
But it will be much wailing and gnashing of teeth before we're done as far as access and sort of marrying that with the transportation needs. So,
Patty Murray's Eastern Washington representative, John Colton, I had a conversation with him last week. And he says that now she's head of appropriations, and if you've got some big asks, this would be a time to put some things together.
just send money.
There has to be a reason.
We like money.
We've certainly used that, and it's worked very well for us with the airport. And anything tied to the airport, like Airport Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all those have helped out.
Airport Road itself in the city probably would be a good ask. You just have the design money right now,
Just the
correct?
design money. But the good thing about the airport road design money that we do have, which is via RAISE grant, is typically if you get that planning RAISE grant and you do the design work, then you're very well set up to get the next version of the RAISE grant, which is a construction grant.
And I heard at TIB last week, no, week before last, I have to remember which week I was at. Raise grants, because another city got one, and they said extremely competitive. It's amazing we could even get that. I'm going, got a raise grant. Yeah, really? Okay, so,
They are hard to get.
yeah.
Oh,
There's a lot of work goes into them too.
I've watched some big projects not get raised, or where they build and then they were, well, one before.
Yeah, it used to be billed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one before that too.
Yeah, we had 250 hours of staff time into that grant application.
Wow.
It was big.
Yeah, it was a heavy lift, and Sean did a nice job of rewarding his staff for all the extra time.
If we were further along in this possible freight study process, we might know more about a big ask, but we really haven't even kicked it off yet, so. I'd hate to start asking for money when you don't know what the answer is.
So,
Are we getting it? Well, I guess, oh, is that the same subject we're on, or are we just wandering?
no,
We're wondering a little bit.
we hit Airport Road. We've already got we haven't done the GIS update, but we're right.
Yeah,
on
we're
that.
skipping around. This is poor leadership.
Oh, we were
You guys need
276.
better leadership for this meeting.
Are you trying to make a pitch here
Don't laugh
to
too
get
hard.
rid of the chair? Yeah.
Okay, so any more you got GIS?
That covers 276. The next one is City County GIS update.
RJ, he supervises. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Nothing noteworthy, really. It's slowly growing. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at the GIS portal for all
Yes.
things inside city limits, but it's growing in value every day. I don't think we have everything we want on there, but from where we were 18 months ago, it's
We,
almost 2 years now. Oh, yeah. And this time next year, we'll have a second staff person. Well, this time next year, January 1st. But, yeah.
so for the county portion, it is actually up and facing the public now in a rudimentary form. We still have a lot of errors in the parcel data. There are probably a couple of thousand parcels that are not resolved on there. There's some sort of an error in the parcel, either in the way the consultant interpreted it or with the data that was submitted to the county in the first place. We need to meet with the assessor later this winter and try and figure out a plan to start resolving that. We're resolving the bits and pieces we're able to do, but it's still a process of learning. The other thing, we're starting to get more complaints on our part of the system, and probably 3/4 or more of the complaints are about Pullman parcels right now. So we're trying to resolve what that means. That doesn't mean our data's bad. You know, complaint doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem. It just means there's a perceived problem. So we're trying to work through some of that right now. We probably should get together and talk about it at some point.
What kind of complaints do you receive?
I'm not the one that takes them.
Okay.
This is just a report I got this morning because I was asking about it again this morning. So I need to resolve that, and part of it is outside of Public Works. We house GIS in Public Works, but the parcel data resides with the assessor,
Sure.
which is a separately elected official, so it makes it challenging. I haven't even told Art this yet, so. But we're trying
We
to,
were just inquiring about our goals for GIS for next year,
Yeah.
and that's something we're gonna meet on in January, February.
yeah. So all I'm saying is that's kind of a, I don't know, just an overall view of what we're looking at. I don't have answers to the specifics yet, but I think
Okay.
I'll be digging into it early in next year. And so as soon as I know more, we'll get a hold of you and visit some more about it.
Sure. I don't think we've received any complaints. I think it's
Oh.
been pretty clean so far.
I think everyone's just been so grateful to see something.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't,
And Dee's working with the cemetery thing. How's that work?
Well, because I have to go line by line through all my hard papers and compare it to what's in the GIS data.
Well,
Yeah.
well, they haven't moved, so at least there's solid in that area.
And cemeteries are a popular place. People are dying to get in there.
This is a recorded meeting.
invited him. Did you invite him?
Yeah, Mike did.
Next
That's
year,
one of
next
his
year I'll
better
sit in the
ones.
middle.
Yeah.
Well, the one I heard earlier was a little worse, so.
Okay. Moving right along on your agenda, sir.
I'm so sorry. Anyway, I don't know that it's anything the city or the county is doing wrong. I think it's just overall, and it might have to do with the application.
Okay.
So Pullman Airport Road reconstruction, we've talked about that a little bit. The county, by the way, just on the county part of the Pullman Airport Road, in April of this coming year, we should receive the last bit of our funding to have it fully funded. So,
Wow.
the county portion.
That's great.
You got a curb grant?
No, CRAB,
Crab,
County
crab
Road
grant.
Administration
Okay,
Board.
okay, good.
For our full ask was, I can't remember, it's $4 or $4.5 million. We have another $600,000 left till it's fully funded, and we should receive that in April.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we have our ways too.
Yes, you do.
What will that all do, Mark, on that road?
The county portion probably won't be as fancy as the city portion, but.
You'll have shoulders, however.
It
won't you?
will have shoulders, it'll be
Okay.
wider, it'll be a 3-lane section.
Wow.
So there'll be 1 lane each way, and then a center turn lane all the way through.
Do you have property you have to acquire?
We do.
I bet.
That's gonna be the hardest part.
Yeah.
And actually, we are going to start surveying that project as soon as the weather allows us this spring.
I would tend to think some of the neighbors, you would, of course, everybody out there, just judging from my experience with the airport board and dealing with the farmers out there, and how they know that this is one way they can always take some money and have their retirement plan. But other than that, you would tend to think that they might like to have shoulders so cars are not in their property and that we're pulling out in tow trucks all the time. You would tend to think.
That's what you would tend to think.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just saying.
We've talked to some of them, and most of the more reasonable rural folks, not necessarily farmers, are supportive of the project.
Okay. Most, I like
Because there are people that won't support it, we know that, but
but we're going to do it.
they're looking forward to a safer road with a turn lane in the middle. That part gets them pretty excited.
Yeah. She's just thinking of all the accidents.
Yeah, that's one of our harder roads to keep clear. We,
Myers
Was it a year?
Auto and Towing has not taken a stand on that because they picked up a lot of business that way.
yeah, a year or two ago, we plowed a car into the ditch because we
Oh.
couldn't see it. So it's
The
one of
car
our
or the
favorite
ditch?
roads.
It
You get the proper curl
You
on
get
the
the
plow,
curl
it
going
just,
just right.
Got that one done.
Potential city-county airport road project, we really haven't talked about combining the money, but we have it in the back of our minds. I think as soon
Yeah.
as you get your design concepts put down on paper, so to speak.
You know,
we'll
obviously
probably
it'll be
have
more intense
conversation.
as we're trying to make sure we have pedestrian and bike thing to
Yeah.
get to the terminal, so that's our main concern.
We're going to try and have enough shoulder for bike and pedestrian, but the county road administration board does
Yeah,
not
no, I
fund
totally
pedestrian
understand.
facilities.
Totally
So-
understand.
So we have to be careful how we do that.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that on the raise grant is the first step that we have to take with the raise grant money is have a agreement in place with the feds. Apparently it takes almost a year just to get that agreement done, is what they're
Wow.
telling us, so we won't be able to start the design.
Hey, just remember who's the head of appropriations. We're gonna use that to our max.
There we go.
That's right. I was,
Yep.
that's why I was calling John about an FA8 issue the other day, and going like, we're gonna use this to a max.
Oh, yeah.
So, if it takes a year for other folks,
Hopefully we can get it done in 2 months.
Patty's number 3 in line for the presidency, so, use it.
Number 3 in line to the presidency?
Yep. Yeah, they just voted that about last week. They passed on the
I
senator
thought it was
from
the Speaker of
California.
the House that was number 3.
No, you go Vice President, Speaker, and then and then
third.
they had the President of the Senate, and they bypassed Dianne Feinstein because she's the most senior there, and took Patty as President of the Senate. So it's like,
Third after the president, not third
Yeah.
counting the president.
Oh, third, not count, yeah, I was gonna say.
I was hearing what you were saying there, and it's like, yeah, number 3 is the.
Number 3 is Speaker of the
Speaker of the
House,
House. But
but number 3 after the president
Not
is
counting
the
the
President of the Senate, yeah. Right. Now we're on the same page. Sorry to get too detailed.
and that's the reason why Patty's there, because Dianne Feinstein is not on that page, apparently,
Yeah.
from what we're hearing, so. She doesn't have a page, from what we're hearing. so.
That's not surprising.
Okay, now comes,
City extension of utilities to airport. Do we need to, is there an update on that, or is that even just a holdout from the past?
Well, we completed the sanitary sewer work. We've got a water main extension that we're still designing.
Okay.
I'll give you a terminal update, because that was above there. It's progressing.
Oh, shoot, I missed one.
It's progressing, and you can actually see the forms above the dirt. Obviously, weather has slowed down the process a little bit. The best news ever was that, because we took a hard chance and ordered steel about a year in advance, and we got it. All the steel we need for that project is there.
Nice.
Which is absolutely
Nice
amazing.
job.
And so Hoffman is doing their thing, and they've got their subcons, and it's progressing. Maybe 4 weeks behind, for last I heard. And this, yeah, they can make it up.
In today's world, that's nothing.
Yeah, I know.
We did the same thing with our scale project. We bought the scales to make it easier to bid a project, and then we rebid it and saved a whole bunch of money.
Oh, yeah.
We bid it 3 times. Second rebid, we just awarded.
We rejected some bids and went again and rescaled things. That was in the tarmac. So, okay.
Buying stuff up front is helping. Anything else on terminal?
Anything? We've got the sewer there, and we've got the water, so, okay?
Okay. Shorelines.
ongoing. I talked with the consultant a few days ago, and she maintains that all of the entities that she's dealing with are on, doing fine. And she won't have anything to show us for sure at the beginning of next month when we have our next planning commission meeting, because she's waiting on ecology to give some information as to what they want to have changed. So she can't do much more than what she's done until she gets feedback from ecology. So that's where we stand. But she says that we could probably start, we could probably have this finished by the spring.
So we're on schedule still.
We're on schedule, yeah. We just haven't seen an awful lot of activity. I mean, she's got the basic stuff done, the updates done, and she's just waiting on approval from ecology. And
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
Pullman's probably in the same boat.
yeah, they've been here twice, giving updates to the planning commission to keep them up to speed. We don't have a lot of changes in our SMP, pretty much just statutory, regulatory changes. We really have very few projects that really involve the SMP anyway, so from a staff standpoint, we didn't recommend anything to be changed, so it's whatever the state mandates that we'll change and move on. But I think it's going very well so far.
Yeah,
It's a lot of effort for a little bit of,
Yeah.
It is.
well, they're having to coordinate 7 separate entities, which is an effort in itself, right there. And the small towns don't know what the heck a shoreline program is anyway.
No.
A lot of our builders don't either, until they meet that one.
I did read that, League of Women Voters are about, I don't know,
Yes.
20 or 30 pages of that.
You
thing,
read
so-
that? You brave man. I glanced
Art
through it.
doesn't have a life, I just thought I'd tell you that, he has to read these documents.
More true than you know.
It gets lonely up north.
Yeah.
okay, that's it for discussion and updates. New business, is there any new business for us to discuss?
Sure, I would add, basically FEMA's working on updates to the floodplain mapping right now.
Again?
They just released their draft of that mapping, and they're trying to schedule a meeting with cities and the county to talk about next steps, review the mapping, all that detail. So it's going to take a long time before they get to the point where they can actually adopt that. But we'll want to make sure we're tracking on that fairly closely, because if they've got inaccuracies in the mapping, we want to make sure we put our input in.
That, I was just looking at that Monday too. Huge amount of maps out in the unincorporated area.
Yeah, it's overwhelming amount of data there.
Yes.
Are they flooding the floodplain farther up into the hills as what like they did last time?
They moved things around. I don't know about specific instances yet. I haven't gone through it yet, but
How did our North Grand flood come into their new maps?
that'd be
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to look closely at that.
Flat.
The 45-minute flood.
Yeah.
I only took out some of our stuff too, remember?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Just nobody saw it because it wasn't as pretty as your stuff.
Yeah, because our stuff lifted and set back down on the road. Then we had to go fix it.
Well, speaking of lifting, we had a beautiful lift truck that did a rescue mission, and
Oh.
we're still dealing with LMI on that one.
Really?
We had to pay our fine, I think, so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that now.
We were heroes.
Went and actually rescued
Joe,
people.
Joe
Got in
went and
trouble
picked
for it.
that one up and tried to fight that through the legislature, but didn't happen.
Well, nobody else took up the cause.
Well, we couldn't even get support from other firefighters, because Mike was over there. I was there that day for another session, and the firefighters union wouldn't even support this. I mean, I was going like, that's ridiculous.
It is.
So,
The question is, if all those circumstances had happened again, would your people do the same thing?
I would assume that they would, if they would do the best they could to rescue. I don't think we have purchased a boat in the meantime, that I know of.
Nope.
Evan's got 3 or 4 at his place. You can go talk to him.
He would probably have a big rental fee, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yep.
Any other new business? Going once?
Yep, you're done.
Going twice. Okay, item 7, election of officers.
I am willing to take it on, because you've been hinting long enough, as long as you'd stay vice chair.
I like to make noises.
Well, because I know that
I
my term,
nominate Glenn Johnson as chair.
my term ends at the end of 23, so I can do 1 year, 1 meeting.
That's true. See, if I can just get it off of my shoulders once, then it can make some rounds.
Yeah, okay.
I nominate Glenn Johnson.
Second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Well, do you want to vote on that first? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. How
No,
about for vice chair?
I nominate Mark.
What's that?
I nominate you.
Can't hear you.
I second that nomination of Mark.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, switching officers. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to adjourn today?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
2:38.
Good job.
You did it well.
You go turn off the recorder.
I was hoping for a half hour, but
And I will go put it into Google that in December we should have a meeting.
well,
Or
Michael
November.
Ann spoiled me. She just,
Oh, she
she
was-
started prodding me a month before.